I've stumbled upon this subreddit not too long ago, but reading some of these stories has reminded me of an encounter I had about 7 years ago. I was keeping a very detailed diary at that point, trauma therapy related, so I have all the details logged as well as all the info I got afterwards. A little bit of background is in order here. I grew up in a very abusive household. Berating, gaslighting, emotional blackmailing, hitting, screaming were all on daily basis for the first 23 years of my life, until I have finally saved up enough money and mustered enough courage to leave that hellhole of a place. I have moved to a different town, about 2 hours by train, found myself a small apartment and a quiet job as an office assistant. I have also started therapy as soon as I settled in to become more of a person instead of a big pile of poo my parents made me believe I was. Now, unpacking all the baggage wasn't easy, and in the first 2 years of therapy I was a wreck. High functioning but still a wreck. I was diagnosed with CPTSD, depression, anxiety and a couple other things on top. I was fortunate enough to have such understanding colleagues and at least didn't have to worry about my job or income on top of everything. With that out of the way, let's get to the actual encounter. It was about 10 months after my move. One Saturday after a really long crying episode, I went to the fridge to find out it was empty, save for a lone pickle and a jar, and I needed to go get some groceries if I don't want to live on crackers and pickle water. I totally wasn't in any shape to go anywhere where there might be other people, but it was my fault for postponing the trip for so long, so I have just pushed myself to get dressed, brush my teeth and hair, grab a shopping basket and go to the nearest supermarket, which was incidentally the same chain I was working in part and full-time when I was still living with my parents in the other town, which really wasn't surprising since the chain is in like every bigger town. So I walk into the shop, already shaking and anxious and trying to attract any attention to myself whatsoever. I grab a bit of produce, carton of milk, several packets of ham and just some yogurt. I am almost done. Just a bag of sugar, some pasta and ketchup and I can bolt to the register, I am telling myself when someone taps me on the shoulder and I am immediately triggered, meaning most of my systems shut down in order not to do something stupid. I slowly turn around to see an angry-looking woman that could be my mother, which is acting as another trigger, nervously tapping her foot on the floor. Can I help you? I managed to get out through the fog because my polite system stays operational at all times. About time you noticed me. I've been talking to you for about 3 damn minutes by now. Where is that coffee that is supposed to be on sale? It takes me a while to process what she was saying and formulate and answer. I don't know. I don't drink coffee. What do you mean you don't drink coffee? I didn't ask you to drink it, you dimwit. I asked you where I can buy it. At this point the lady is practically screaming at me, at which point I start to back away from her and then everything goes blank. The next thing I knew I was staring at a hospital ceiling with a throbbing pain at the back of my head and a nurse leaning over me asking me how I am feeling, to which I am asking her what day and time it is and what the hell happened. She frowns and says, "It's Sunday 8 p.m. and apparently you hit the shelf pretty hard." I just let myself fall asleep again because I seriously wasn't in any shape to think straight at that point. On Monday my therapist came, helped me call my workplace since I definitely wasn't coming to work for a couple days. Then 2 police officers came in to take my testimony and ask if I want to press charges, which has taken me aback. Like me suing someone? For what? Apparently, after I started backing away from the woman I shut down for good and started frantically pleading with her to please not hurt me, while she continued to scream and close in on me, until I could not step back any further, at which point she got so upset she grabbed my shirt and yanked me to her to be close to my face, to which I have instinctively reacted by pushing her away with as much force as I could. Since she didn't expect retaliation, she lost her balance, let go of my shirt and we both went backwards. She has landed on the tile floor bruising her butt while I hit the shelf behind me head first. The security guard and one of the employees got there in about the same moment, so they saw us fight and fall. The security guy went to help the Karen, still screaming on top of her lungs that she wants me fired for being rude, while I was curled up on the floor, hands around my bleeding head, crying and promising I'll be good, just don't hurt me anymore. Anyway, police and paramedics came. Officers scooped up Karen after seeing the camera footage, while paramedics scooped up me and got me to the hospital with a fine brain concussion. It has turned out that the Karen was originally from the same town as me and saw me working at the supermarket there regularly, so when she happened to be in a different town it didn't occur to her that I am not working in that particular store. And since she was somehow acquainted with my mother, who most likely told what a piece of I am, she treated me accordingly. Or at least that's my conclusion. To this day I am not aware on any other interaction between us than this. I ended up pressing the charges after consulting my therapist. I think Karen got charged with assault, destroying property and something I don't really remember and apparently didn't bother writing down, and ended up in jail for 2 years since I've got head injury, and my lawyer didn't miss the opportunity to throw in my mental health state as well. I didn't set foot in that supermarket for at least a year afterwards, just bought a new shopping basket and went elsewhere. When I eventually did go back I ran into that employee that was there during the incident and they told me a couple details the police and doctors omitted, like the part where I was crying and begging on the floor. I've had a couple more encounters with Karens after that in various places, but by that time I was fortunately way better off mentally and never broke down like that again in public. Which is also why I am able to write about this now, at least anonymously like this. Alright, so my best friend is finally getting married. As the best man I am way far behind on things such as getting my own formal wear tailored, as I've lost a ton of weight over the past year. Also being Valentine's Day, the wife and I decided to go to the appointment at the local shop together, before grabbing some wings and beers for happy hour. As I'm standing in the mini funhouse of mirrors, with what appears to be a 207-year-old Asian lady controlling my every move, only saying no anytime I even shift my weight, I hear a man, roughly 6 feet 0 inches, 200 pounds, saying excuse me over and over again. Assuming he is looking for another member of staff, the three of us ignore him entirely. Finally, after the third or fourth excuse me, the guy screams, "Are you effing deaf?" as he grabs my wife's arm and spins her around violently. Now, my wife is 5 feet 0 inches and about 105 pounds. However, being the daughter of a retired USAF colonel and current agent of the Alphabet Gang, and retired Navy lieutenant herself, my wife has years of training in a few schools of martial arts, such as Krav Maga and Taekwondo. As this man spun her around and towered over her, she elbowed him in the diaphragm and firm, but gently pushed him back away from her while stating, "I don't work here and keep your hands off of me." Having God knows how many needles and such all throughout my inner thigh and nether regions, I wasn't really able to move, so I did the next best thing and attempted to tell the guy to F off and leave my wife alone. Before I could get the words out, however, a layboy had decided to charge my wife in a full fighting stance. With nothing else really to do, wife took a half step back into a stance I'm used to seeing on Saturday mornings as I meander into the basement with a cup of coffee. As dude draws back a punch, leaning all of his weight into it, wife spins, and as she comes back around, the Doc Marten she's wearing connects with the side of guy's face, full tread pattern. Unlike in the movies, he didn't go flying through the air spinning, his trajectory immediately changed to that of a crashing airplane. Fully unconscious, dude turned into one of those circular racks of clothing, almost completely disappearing inside. Finally another member of staff comes running, saying the police are on their way. It took about 3 minutes for the police to arrive, and as they walked in, dude was just finding his way out of the tangle of expensive dress clothes I thought would be his tomb. With statements from myself, the 2 staff and finally cameras, dude not only found himself with a shattered orbital and a few broken teeth, but he was handcuffed to the gurney as they loaded him into an ambulance. I swear, I can't take her anywhere. I'm one of those people who can spend hours at a Home Goods and TJ Maxx looking at every little thing, and not get bored. One day I spent maybe a little too long in the pet aisle, looking for the perfect pet bed for my pup, and I'd been squishing my hands on all the beds for maybe 15 minutes. They have a lot of beds, please don't judge me too much lol. I was wearing a casual outfit, denim shorts and a t-shirt, nothing like the vests and name tags/lanyards the employees wear. This angry woman comes up to me demanding I help her get an item on the top shelf. I'm 5 feet 2 inches, and apologized saying I'm not sure I can help, I'm shorter than you. She was furious and demanded I just get a ladder. I told her I couldn't get a ladder. but she could ask one of the associates and maybe they could help. She gets louder and louder, yelling that I need to go to the back and get a ladder so I can help her, while I'm just standing there dumbfounded with my hands on top of the dog beds. Luckily, this woman's tantrum was loud enough a cashier hears her and comes over, advising the crazy lady that she can help her. The glare the Karen gave me as she walked away and said finally someone competent will forever be ingrained in my brain. As you can guess by the title, I do not in fact work at Shoppers. I have a general customer service manager look to me, so I get stopped all the time in stores by people thinking I work there, which is fine, but this one I had to laugh about it with the staff because the only way I could look less like I worked there is if I was in costume. I have a Shoppers near my house that I frequent regularly, because points, and this one summer's day I went in for a bathroom restock. I was going pretty quickly, but I had a cart 3/4 full, a white and black striped crop top with cleavage, jean shorts, flip-flops on with a crossbody bag, and a facial expression of wanting to be home. I noticed a couple who looked like they were from the city and had never been in the store before, but I ignored my gut instinct to help because I was currently packing a few specific female intimate products in my cart and wanted to just get out of there. As I turned into an aisle, I heard a female voice go, "Can you help me find X?" I ignored it. And then, another "Excuse me?" tap her on the shoulder. I kept walking, focused on getting a facial scrub that I knew was only on sale like once a year. It was only when I heard aloud, "And very rude, she is acting absolutely unacceptable and this is bullshit, grab her and maybe then she'll do her job and help." Well, that got my attention because I do love tea. I turn around, lady is red-faced hyperventilating, looking me dead in the eyes. She tells me she needs me to grab something for her. All I could manage to do is let out a small choked laugh, look myself up and down, and say, "Yeah, okay, that's a no, I obviously don't work here." Turned around, grabbed the facial scrub without stopping, and on my way out I laughed about it with the cashier because we could still hear the lady from the other side of the store. This was the 5th or 6th time getting mistaken for an employee here, but usually I'm wearing like, work-appropriate attire and not using a cart. Edit, tried double spacing the paragraphs as recommended lol.